Hey book readers, today we're talking about dark magic. No, not the evil basketball-playing twin of Lakers legend Magic Johnson, although I'd love to see how he fits into the Boston Celtics-Larry Bird rivalry. Just in time for Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, I'm sharing 5 enchanting books filled with dark magic. We're starting off with the Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval. Apparently, this is a retelling of an H.P. Lovecraft story called The Horror at Red Hook. I've never read that, and I don't think you need to in order to enjoy this horror novella set in 1920s New York. It's a hypnotic, atmospheric urban fantasy with a main character named Charles Tester, who's a no-talent street musician and swindler that does what it takes to survive and help the ones he loves. Unfortunately, he gets involved with a mysterious sorcerer and a rich white guy who's interested in the occult. It's a thrilling yet terrifying, unputdownable book that you can finish in just a day or two. Next up is Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. 2 siblings, Bellatine and Isaac, are descendants of the infamous legendary Russian witch Baba Yaga, who has left them an inheritance, her living house on chicken legs. They named the house Thistlefoot, and it serves as their home and traveling theater. The dark magic in this book comes in the form of the Long Shadow Man, who is a creepy, evil character seemingly stalking Thistlefoot and living on the pain and fear of others. Luckily, Bellatine and Isaac each have their own magical powers that can help battle this sinister foe, but they've only just begun to tap into and control their abilities, which they'll really need to do in order to defeat the Long Shadow Man. Some of my favorite parts of this novel were the beautifully written puppetry scenes, which are magical in and of themselves. It made me want to actually see the Yaga siblings put this show on in person. There are also some great POV changes throughout the book that add to the backstory of everything that's going on. Overall, it's a modern, grown-up fairy tale with rich characters and gorgeous writing that steadily marches, on chicken legs, toward a satisfying ending. The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. You've probably read this one already, but in case you haven't, I sincerely encourage you to do so the first chance that you get. The whole book has this dreamlike quality to it as a man recalls being a kid and befriending a neighbor girl named Letty Hempstock, but the details of his childhood adventures with Letty are a little hazy in his memory. And despite the dreamy atmosphere of this book, there's a nightmarishness to it as well, because the narrator brings to life an extraordinary, melancholic tale of monsters and suffering and the supernatural. By the end, we're left wondering, could this man's recollections really have happened like that? And then, turning the question on ourselves, how have our childhood memories changed over time? Or have they at all? The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. The first book in Brando Sando's Mistborn series, The Final Empire features an over-explained magic system involving different metals that bestow distinct, temporary powers. Kelsier and Vin, yes, I'm going to pronounce it Kelsier and not Kelsier, are the 2 stars of the novel. Both have humble or even tragic origins. Kel is the master who's teaching Vin, the novice, how to be a Mistborn, aka someone who can control all of the magical metals instead of just one, like most people can. He's teaching Vin so that she can help him start a rebellion in order to overthrow the seemingly invincible Lord Ruler, a divine, pretty evil dude. While the character building is a bit weak, especially when it comes to the Lord Ruler, all the espionage, thievery, and twisty-turny last 100 plus pages make it a rip-roaring magical time till the very end. A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I had to include this one. I mean, dark and magic are literally in the title. It's a magical novel where 4 distinct Londons exist, each with a different level of magic in it. The thing is, only a couple of magicians remain who can actually cross into each of those parallel worlds. So, when a piece of magic from the closed-off Black London, which isn't supposed to exist, enters the mix, Kel, one of the only remaining magicians, begins a journey to return the object to the original London that it came from. Delilah Bard, a young thief looking for her own adventure, teams up with Kel to keep this dangerous magical object out of the wrong hands. It's a buddy quest through and through, along the same lines of Frodo and Sam taking the ring back to Mount Doom. Fly, you fools! There's excellent world building in this book too, and even though the complex setting has depth, it's also surprisingly easy to follow. That's because Schwab does a wonderful job of showing how each of the 4 Londons differ from one another. And there aren't huge chunks of exposition where a character is explaining everything to the reader, so extra kudos there. And one final note, I haven't read the sequels yet, but I plan to get around to them eventually because I've heard good things overall. There you have it, 5 dark magical books that are scary good. Remember to like, subscribe, and listen to Black Magic Woman by Santana. Happy reading.